We knew he was good, but this good? Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, it's Charles. How are you today? Wowee, we are finally back in the thick of the Masters 8 tournament after a 1-month intermission of recaps and other stuff. And Pokémon Journeys episode 122 was quite the return, showcasing the first of the tournament's 2 semi-final matches, and granting us insights into the beginnings of Cynthia and Garchomp's friendship. Do drop me a messenger pigeon if you want a content piece on the story of little Cynthia and little Gibble, but today I wanted to zero in not just on the episode's big battle, but more specifically on the raw insanity of the final boss of the Pokemon anime himself, the scarf-drip-shredding, gallant and daring Purple Panther from the Galar region, Leon. Because the Leon vs Diantha battle was something else to say the least, and with an Ash vs Leon showdown just around the bend, we need to talk about the overwhelming force that is about to collide against the dreams of Pallet Town Player 2. So the plan today is to explore Leon's character and qualities, why he is so insanely broken, to quickly review the champion versus champion match that just aired, and to break down what it all means for Ashy Boy's quest to be the very best. And as always, it is going to be a fun time, so kindly cross-chop that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's bust out the juicy nuggets. Leon practically exudes confidence, and for good reason, as he is an undefeated prodigy trainer who quickly rose up the ranks of the Galar League to become the Galar Pokemon champion, and thereafter the de facto champion of the world after defeating Lance to snag the title of the World Coronation Series Monarch. But he is also somewhat of a sad character, as after being scouted by Dad Bod Rose to become Galar's greatest sometime after his adventure with Charmander and Sonia began, their mentor-apprentice relationship would begin to gradually push his best friend, and perhaps his only true friend, out of his life. And as it turns out, the puppeteer had only ever intended to use him as a tool to control Eternatus. It's not the happiest story, and we do get further glimpses at the man beneath the mask when he explains his frustrations at being overwhelmed by Eternatus to Ash during their training together in episode 100. But Leon is also a very optimistic and cheerful person, and in that very same conversation he explains to Ash that his struggle against Eternatus, harrowing as it was, also filled him with excitement, as he discovered that there were still adversaries out there much stronger than him, against whom he could push his limits even further. In many ways, Leon is what Ash Ketchum might become, somewhat further along his development track, and we can see many similarities in their confidence, optimism, boyish love of all things Pokemon related, occasional bouts of the stupids, and never-ending quests to become stronger versions of themselves. Additionally, full-time bad driver and part-time internet waifu Sonia reveals in her conversations with the GoBro that Leon's staggering public persona is little more than a veneer concealing a kid at heart who still gets ants in his pants every time he sees a new Pokemon. Underneath all the showmanship, he is a pretty down-to-earth and likable guy. Not to mention that much like how Ash is the hero of Alola, Leon is very much the hero of Galar and someone who people of the region very much love, respect, and look up to. And for good reason, because he is one heck of a trainer. So let's talk about why exactly he is a final boss who is so tough to beat. Unlike the Leon of the Pokemon Sword and Shield games, the Leon of the anime is unstoppable not just in Galar but also around the world, with Pokemon Journeys showing him decimate opponents from across the known regions in 6 official matches thus far. Never mind the hundreds if not thousands of matches that have gotten him to this point, or that his 6 on-screen victories in the anime could very well turn into 7 on-screen victories in the anime by the time everything is said and done. As the announcer at Wyndon Stadium put it in episode 12, he is the invincible champion who will take on any challenger, and who very easily defeated 100 challengers from all around the world who were fortunate or unfortunate enough to answer his last invitation to battle. But why exactly is Leon so unbeatable? To sidestep the yawn-worthy because the plot answer that will most definitely pop up in the comments, and believe me, I understand. Firstly, there is no doubt about the fact that Leon is simply a gifted prodigy armed with a ridiculous ruthless ace the likes of which the anime has never seen. But that said, although online discussions may present him as an all-in on aggression showboat who cuts through his opponents with nothing but sheer power, he's actually a lot more unconventional and clever than people give him credit for. Whether it be inflicting Scarfy McScarf with a case of the runs by surprise Gigantamaxing his Rillaboom out the gates, turning Fire Spin into an offensive shield, or using speed buffs and acrobatics to whack the weeds, Leon is full of surprises. But one of the biggest advantages he has created for himself in the World Coronation Series has been by carefully researching his opponents in advance of their matches to tailor hard-hitting movesets that give him the edge in every battle. For instance, by equipping Charizard with Thunder Punch to turn the tides on Lance, teaching it Dig and Brick Break to fart in Raihan's pudding, and loading it up with both Ancient Power and Dragon Pulse to dress Alon's Mega Charizard X up like a donkey and ride it all the way to El Dorado. We've never seen a Pokemon trainer in the anime consistently bring such a range of carefully prepped moves to the show's battles, and this is exactly how Leon extinguishes threats before they can even become threats. In other words, instead of showing up to the tournament as the TCG player who simply plays smart and draws well, he is the player who plays smart and draws well, but also reads the meta and puts in the prep work to counter that meta all the way to the World Championship. In his own words, the reason I've become unbeatable is because I learn from every battle I watch or take part in. And the battle at the heart of Pokémon Journeys episode 122 is no different. Leon vs. Diantha marks the second time we have seen Leon take on another champion in an official battle, with the match setting him up against the bad gal who recently won the hearts of the masses by, like Leon, defeating the very best of the Kanto Johto League. And given her strong showing against Lance, I think people expected Diantha to be the first trainer to put up a truly good fight against Leon, giving him a proper run for his money. So let's chat about how things went down. The official charts comparing the strengths and weaknesses of the Masters 8 semi-finalists gave us some indication of how this match would play out. As we can infer, Diantha's team is not as speedy or offensively inclined as Leon's, but she does put up a sound defense and carefully strategizes her way to knockouts. And we saw these qualities on full display in her battle against Lance. But unfortunately for Big D, the final boss of the Pokemon anime does not give a hoot about his opponent's sound defense or strategies. And let me tell you, this battle will not be one that Diantha writes her gran about. The long and short of this catastrophe is that Leon's Dragapult put down Diantha's Hawlucha, 4 of her other Pokemon got hung up like piñatas and smashed into Snickers bars by Leon's Rillaboom, and at a 1-4 disadvantage, Diantha's Gardevoir slaps down that stupid monkey and Mega Evolves to put up a brave fight against Leon's Gigantamaxed Charizard. And here we see flashes of Diantha's strategic brilliance. For instance, she had prepped her Gardevoir with Thunderbolt to punish Leon's ace for weakness, and she even manages to have Gardevoir parry G-Max Wildfire with Psychic, turning the move against Leon to give him his very first Nani plus Sweat Bead moment of the tournament. It was brilliant, but Leon was already too far ahead, smartly weakened the flames with Max Airstream, and eventually cleaned out the fridge altogether with a second G-Max Wildfire. It was a commanding victory, and let's not mince words, Leon basically picked Diantha apart and showed us just how big the gaps between champions can be. And now that Leon has finished dragging Kalos through the roughs, he needs only to beat one final opponent to retain his title of reigning monarch of the World Coronation Series. So unless Pokemon Journeys drops the core plotline that it has been pushing in our faces since very early on, that final opponent will be none other than Ash Ketchum. But can Ash possibly beat this monstrous final boss waiting for him at the endgame? Once again, I have to say that I do really like these radar charts, as while we cannot take them too seriously, they've served as pretty good visual representations of how these Masters 8 battles are unfolding. And, as is obvious from the charts and from common sense, Leon is a mature, undefeated trainer who has adventured much longer than Ash and rose to his championship title long before Ash even set foot in Alola. A trainer who was already pounding other champions into dust when Ash had only just emerged as Alola's first, and who has easily defended his #1 spot from top-tier challengers over the course of the current WCS season. And this leaves Ash entering the match not just out-experienced as a trainer, but also in the sense that he is fielding what is by and large a fresh team against Leon's veterans. And while I think that most fans would like to see Ash make a couple substitutions to bring in seasoned powerhouses from the past, which would theoretically increase increase his odds against Leon. Whether or not he does or chooses to roll with his entire Journeys squad, it is clear that he and his boys will be leaning on speed, offense as the best defense, and raw unpredictability as always. Ash is not likely going to be outgunned by Leon, but Leon has proven to be the more strategic of the two over the course of the series in terms of his tailored movesets and how he proactively sets up plays. So I think it will take some very special surprises and very classic Ketchum counterplays to push Ash over the crest in this last confrontation. And I am stoked to see how it all unfolds. But how about you?